Most of the machine guns in Resident Evil 5 have relatively low firepower, but make up for it by having a high rate of fire, high DPS, and high efficiency. We start with a weak but high capacity SMG and move all the way up to a Gatling gun that would make even JJ proud. There is a machine gun for everyone in this game, and in this video we will showcase them all in their glory and shortcomings. I will highlight the stats of the weapons and show how they can be used against the regular Magini and also the mini bosses of the game. I highly recommend fully upgrading any weapon you intend on using for higher difficulties, as your items and money will always carry over to the new games. That being said, all gameplay is on professional with fully upgraded machine guns. Starting with the first machine gun in the game, the VZ61. This weapon is modeled after the real-life Scorpion VZ61. This weapon is available to purchase starting Chapter 1-2, costing 2,000 gold. However, you can find it in the very first chapter for free. During the village fight, you have to wait a few minutes before the executioner breaks down the fence. Afterwards, run to the back of the stage before the locked gate and turn to your right. You'll find a case sitting on a table with the VZ inside. Fully upgrading the VZ unlocks the special weapon, the Gatling gun, which is exclusive for Chris. More on that later. Upgrading this weapon will cost you a total of 75,000 gold, and the stats are as follows. Firepower 100, reloading speed of 2.27 seconds, a capacity of 300 rounds, and an increased critical shot percentage, which makes landing fatal headshots more common. The second machine gun in the game is HK MP5. This weapon is modeled after the real-life HK MP5A3. The MP5 is available to purchase in Chapter 2-2 for 2,000 gold. There is no point in planning to purchase this weapon, however, because the game literally throws it in your face at the very beginning of Chapter 2-1. When the chapter loads, just look to your left and it's sitting in the case. This weapon is also pretty weak like its predecessor, but it does have piercing capability if you're into that sort of thing. The MP5 will cost you a total of 67,000 gold to fully upgrade. The stats are as follows. Firepower of 120, reloading speed of 2.10 seconds, capacity of 150 rounds, and increased bullet penetration. The third machine gun in the game is AK-74. This weapon is modeled after the real life, you guessed it, AK-74. The AK is available to purchase starting Chapter 5-2 for 4,000 gold. You can find this weapon in Chapter 5-1 after your first encounter with the Lickers. Once you open the door after defeating them, hang a right down the hallway and enter the first door on your right. The AK will be sitting in a case on a table for you to take. This machine gun is the strongest in its class, but a bit less accurate. It's a heavy contender for some of the stronger foes that you're about to face into the late game, and it's also a weapon of choice for the late game Magini. The AK will cost you a total of 73,000 gold to fully upgrade. The stats are as follows. Firepower of 250, reloading speed of 2.55 seconds, and a capacity of 50 rounds. The fourth machine gun in the game is the SIG 556. This weapon is modeled after real-life Sig Sauer SIG 556. It is available to purchase starting Chapter 5-3 for 4,000 gold. You can find it for free in Chapter 5-2 near the conveyor belt in the missile arena. After traversing the belt with the Magini and explosives, you'll find yourself at a staircase. Descend and look for a table in front of you. The case with the 556 will be waiting for you. The SIG 556 is a good all-rounder machine gun with decent firepower, DPS, capacity, and agility, and it seems to be a favorite amongst some of the BSAA operatives. The SIG 556 will cost you a total of 71,000 gold to fully upgrade. The stats are as follows. Firepower of 180, reloading speed of 1.42 seconds, and a capacity of 80 rounds. The fifth and final machine gun in the game is the Gatling gun, exclusive to Chris. This weapon is modeled after a real-life M134 minigun. It is available to purchase after fully upgrading the VZ61 and will cost you 50,000 gold. I've previously made a standalone video for the Gatling gun, which will be linked below. There are no real stats for this weapon, but all you need to know is it deals 450 damage per bullet, and it decimates groups in the right situations. Sounds like a badass weapon, but unfortunately it falls a bit flat due to ergonomics and slow speed. It is fun to use though sometimes. Now that we have the basic information of the main machine guns out of the way, I will go over how each of them stack up against the game's sub-bosses in order of appearance. Starting with the Executioner, the VC61 may be the weakest machine gun of the bunch, but it really isn't much of an issue against the Executioner. The hardest part about this boss, and some of the others, is managing the horde of Maginis while focusing on the boss. The VZ allows you to just hold down the trigger and spray at any and all targets until they are eliminated. stun lock him, get some distance, unload, rinse and repeat. The MP5 makes things a bit easier due to the bullet penetration. You'll knock out some of the Magini while not even trying. As for the Executioner, however, he goes down pretty fast when you're aiming for his critical points. The AK has extreme DPS and makes the Executioner not much of a threat. Keep the distance and spray. The SIG 556 has a bit less damage than the AK, but it is a bit easier to get the shots on target. This may or may not make the fight a bit quicker. However, the same rules apply as before. Stun his criticals and unload while he's down, all while making sure no Magini sneak up on you. Next for the Chainsaw Magini. This guy can be a bit of a sponge with the VZ61. However, he is easy to stun lock when aiming for the head. The strategy here is to keep him in a continuous stun lock while feeding bullets into him. When he gets back up, keep your distance and he'll go down quickly. You'll find throughout this video that the MP5 and the VZ61 are pretty identical when it comes to time to kill and strategies. It's more or less the same despite its bullet piercing. The AK makes very quick work of the Chainsaw Magini despite his health pool. It takes seconds to dispatch him. As with the MP5 and the VC being similar, the AK and the SIG 556 are also very similar. It doesn't take very long to take them out with either one of these weapons. Onto the Giant Magini. With the VZ61, it might take a bit longer to take him out, but it's also very easy to stun lock him and keep him at bay. Keep this up for a little bit while watching out for flanking enemies, and you'll have no issues. The MP5 also takes a bit more time, but it doesn't serve much of a challenge. Just keep the bullets on target. This fight is interesting with the AK. Despite its high DPS, it has the worst bullet spread and recoil. It makes it so not all your bullets are hitting him while spraying down at a longer distance. You could allow him to get closer for maximum effect, however you are risking getting one-shotted by him. I think the SIG 556 is the best matchup against the Giant. It has a good balance of DPS and spread, making most of the shots land. You can safely keep your distance while unloading downrange. Next up are the Lickers. While the VZ isn't terrible against the Lickers, it does take quite a bit of time before you can lay one out. One-on-one with them, it can be decent. Any more than that, I would advise another weapon. The MP5 fares a bit better against the Lickers thanks to its slightly better damage. I didn't have any issues taking one out before the second appear, however I still wouldn't recommend it against multiple. The AK is excellent against Lickers with its superior DPS. Hell, I'd even put it up against many at once. Then again, maybe not. The SIG 556 serves well for dealing consistent damage at a distance, so going toe-to-toe against a Licker or two isn't much of an issue. You can probably even take on several at once if they are all coming to you at a straight line and you're safe at the end of a very long hallway. Now we have the Reapers. I was actually surprised on how quickly the VC61 took out a Reaper. Granted, you have to hit all the weak points and not miss much, but consistent aim will net you consistent damage. No surprise, the AK makes this fight extremely quick. That being said, I was still not expecting it to be this fast. The MP5 wasn't much far off of the VZ61 in time to kill, stayed close enough to hit the weak points, but far enough not to get instantly killed. Finally, again, the SIG 556 makes quick work of the Reaper, and at a safer distance than its AK cousin. Finally, the Gatling gun Magik. I again was not looking forward to this fight, especially with the VZ. However, I found it to be easy, albeit a bit dull. Hold down the trigger, aim for the head, and don't miss. It'll take a while. The MP5 also takes quite a bit of time to take them out. Take cover just to be safe, but just hold down the trigger. While you're at it, catch up on a show or read a book. You'll have the time. With the AK, you can be a bit more aggressive. You don't have to worry about him being out of a stun state long enough for him to do anything to you. Just get up close and personal with him. He deserves it. The SIG 556 is also a good matchup against Gatling gun Magik. I want to get as close, but you don't really need to with this weapon. Just stay consistent until he's taken out. That concludes my showcase for every machine gun in Resident Evil 5, and now on to my final thoughts. The VC and MP5 are very similar in stats and time to kill, and both serve the same purpose. However, I don't really like using them. The VZ is worth upgrading for the Gatling gun, and the MP is not really worth it in my opinion. The AK and the SIG 556 are also very similar, and as much as I love the AK's DPS, I prefer the SIG 556 during regular gameplay. The SIG just offers similar DPS, but better control, making it a bit better rounded. The Gatling gun is probably my least favorite machine gun, and I never use it unless I'm just goofing around. But check it out for yourself in my standalone video for it. That wraps up my weapon showcase for the machine guns of Resident Evil 5. If you liked the video, please subscribe, as I will continue to make weapon showcases like this for the game, eventually covering all the weapons. Check the descriptions for links to everything involving Resident Evil 5 and my weapon showcases for Resident Evil 4. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.